Good morning, everyone. Call to order the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners meeting for June 26th. Welcome this morning. Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good morning. This Wednesday morning, we got a lot of things on the agenda. I wanted to give one note. We had our reception yesterday for our new Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center manager, and we got the new 100-year buttons for the 100th year of the county fairs this year. So if you don't have one of those, we should get some in our office so people can get them. But anyway, these are out, and so we're calling attention to that in less than not too much more than a month now. So,
Mr. Chair, my understanding is those going to be handed out at the fair, and there's probably about 250,000 of them. So,
oh really? Well,
every time everybody that walks in the yeah.
So get them out and around. But anyway, if anybody wants those.
Fair swag delivered to your offices on Friday.
Oh, good, good. So if you're planning to come to the fair this year, it should be a great one with as the 100th anniversary.
I wonder how many they really ordered, though. It'll be interesting. They probably ordered a lot.
They should, yeah. So
at least 500,000, right?
I don't know. It'll be. Yeah.
So the first order of business today is any citizen input from anyone that's not here on a matter on the agenda that wants to give up to 3 minutes of testimony. We fill out a blue form over there. If you haven't done it and want to talk, you can do the form after you talk. But is there anybody here for that? So,
Mr. Chair, I was talkative today, but yeah, just an interesting note. I got an email back about the logs on the side of the road on Highway 20. So Ochco Lumber was awarded the bid, so they're going to be trucked across to John Day and milled. And so that was just yesterday. So just interesting, isn't it, that they are going to be able to be milled and used for beneficial use.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about or is watching, this is all the, what was it, 2,100 trees that were cut down along Highway 20, I guess, going from Sisters towards past Black Butte. So it had been decked up for a couple of weeks anyway.
It was a bidding process, and it was awarded yesterday, and Ochco Lumber out of Prineville and John Day.
Good.
As long as we're talking about Highway 20 and that area. We have a traffic problem out there. We heard from the Black Butte board that one woman last year was ticketed at 127 miles an hour. 127. Sitting by the officer who had ticketed somebody last Wednesday at 96 miles an hour. So our Shane has been notified. Lieutenant Garrison's been notified. We need to slow down out there. I believe we had 4 people killed and a fatality in that area last year. So yeah, people from 2 to 5 Friday afternoon, they just can write ticket after ticket after ticket. So it's slow down, please. You need to enjoy being alive.
Thank you.
That's my little public service announcement. Yeah.
Right. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do either of you have any exceptions or want anything removed or questions?
Specifically moved.
Nope.
So I'd seek a motion supporting approval of the consent agenda.
I move we support consent for our consent agenda today.
I'll second it.
Okay. And any further discussion? Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. So all the department people are here for that, can leave. So the next item is our action agenda. And the first item, I was going to, we've got a revision on the decision on the, this is the Alfalfa Market Road marijuana grow, some revisions. Have you had a chance to look at those, or I think you have a copy in front of it?
I'm thinking, my understanding is that was on the consent agenda.
That was item number 2.
Oh,
I
okay.
had
But
understood that.
Yeah.
oh, okay. So that's
if you
the red
wanna
line
just-
version. Okay.
It was on item number 2
Okay.
on consent.
Yeah, so yeah, I did understand that.
Okay. So we can sign that then today. So okay. If you want to pass a copy, or if you want to do it afterwards. Then starting with the action, the first action item then is consideration of board signature resolution number 2019-32, approving the First Amendment to the Juniper Ridge Urban Renewal Plan. It says, Tom, you're going to make a
Yeah,
presentation.
I'll kick it off, Commissioners. I'd invite Matt Stewart from the City of Bend to join us as well. But a month or so ago, we received a request from the City of Bend to expand the boundary of their urban renewal district in generally the north end of Bend and including the Juniper Ridge area. The area to be expanded would just include the rights-of-way of Cooley and Hunnell roads that aren't already within the district boundary. So this would enable the City of Bend to use district renewal funds to undertake public improvements on those public rights-of-way, and I'm sure Matt will explain a little bit more about that. But there's, given that the areas to be included are public land, public rights-of-way, there's no economic or financial impact to the county of this action. It merely expands the district boundaries slightly, again, to include those rights-of-way. I believe there's a map included, one of the exhibits to the resolution. So it was a simple resolution for the Board of Commissioners to undertake to authorize this district border expansion. With that, unless there are any questions, I invite Matt to give a little bit more detail on what exactly the city's plans are there.
Good morning. Matt Stewart with the City of Bend, Economic Development Office. So thank you for having me. So the Juniper Ridge Urban Renewal Area, this is the first amendment that it's experienced. It was adopted in 2005. Since then, sort of state legislation statutes have evolved over the time, and how we actually fund projects has also changed. So part of this is actually, if we're going to fund any sort of improvements to Cooley Road or Hunnell Road, we actually have to have the full right-of-way within the boundary. We can't just have a portion. So as we've extended the UGB over the years, and we have joint agreements that are part of that, which allows cities' jurisdiction over those roadways, this process puts the whole right-of-way under the urban renewal, so we can actually use urban renewal funding to help improve these roadways as we move further into the future as a separate source of funding. And this really maintains some consistency with our own transportation system plan, which identifies these roads as improvements as we continue to move on in the future. So as Mr. Anderson mentioned, this has no financial impact because it's all public right-of-way. It's really utilizing an existing funding source to help these improvements later on. I can get as technical as you want, or if you like. Yes?
So you were saying no financial impact, referring to no new privately owned parcels going to be included in the expansion.
Correct. This is all public, so therefore there's no assessed value
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be.
Good. So more, it's just a footprint change for future projects.
Correct.
Understood.
Looking at the map that is, I guess it's the first map with the blue. So the stuff north of Cooley Road's not inside, it's in the urban growth boundary now, but it's not part of the urban renewal district yet?
Correct. So the original alignment, which was split down the right-of-way, was the original city line,
Yeah.
or their jurisdictional boundary. And as we've expanded with urban growth, until those areas are annexed, we never really actually came to ask to be extended to the full right-of-way. Even though in the 1998 UGB expansion, there was a joint agreement which basically identified Cooley Road being under the city's jurisdiction. Again, we're playing with kind of lines here in the sand, but ideally, this would then allow us to just meet our obligations for the state statute for urban renewal. So we're kind of dealing with two different definitions of jurisdiction between how the state statute regulates it and how we interpret it as part of our UGB expansion.
So are these outside the city limits for now then?
Technically, those half right-of-ways are outside the city limits, but, and hence why we're here today.
Or
Is
at least half of them are. or
half the
something.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I see what you
So-
mean, yeah.
And the state statute asks that if it's beyond the city's jurisdiction, we ask for the county's permission by resolution to incorporate that.
Is this also part of the getting things in order for if we get the funding from the federal government and the state to do the large project there.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think part of this is Juniper Ridge is now starting to, for lack of a better term, be in the black, and we're expecting that we're going to have up to $5 million to invest in transportation projects at the end of this year. So this really kind of cleans up the plan in order for us to go out to our bond council and actually secure financing. Again, since it hasn't been updated since 2005, it's a little too vague for the comfort level of our bond council. So this really clarifies that, so it's easier for us to go get financing and fund some of these projects. We are aware there's some conversations for future development in this area, and this kind of helps us sort of get in front of that as they come to the table and have those discussions as well.
Okay. Good. Any other questions?
No questions.
No.
Adam, did you have something you were about this?
I'll come up at the end of this exchange. I just need to clarify one point on your consent agenda.
Okay.
Oh, so different.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll move board signature of resolution number 2019-032, approving First Amendment to the Juniper Ridge Urban Renewal Plan.
And I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Thank you for coming. So come on up. So do we run, I was thinking, I didn't realize it was on the consent agenda, so do we need to take it off and re-vote on it or something?
No,
or-
I don't think so. I just want to make sure it's clear in the record. Jacob emailed you a red line copy of the decision this morning, and then I believe Sharon handed it out to you this morning. And so I just wanted to clarify that the version that's online and attached to the consent agenda, so to speak, is not the version that I'm understanding that the board just approved. Is that correct? The board is approving.
That's my understanding of what we approved. We had a copy sitting here when we got here today. Did you have one also? With the
have it
red
here,
line, it
yes.
shows the three changes.
I just-
and,
Just wanted to make sure that was abundantly clear for the record.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we need to do anything more formal than that, or, yeah?
I confirm this morning's red line version is the version.
Thank you for the clarity. I just wanted to make sure there was no confusion.
Yep.
Thank you, Adam.
Sounds good. Okay, so the next, our action item is consideration of board signature of order number 2019-27, appointment of county surveyor. So, yeah, come on up. Good.
Good morning, everyone. Cody Smith, County Engineer, Road Department, and I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves.
Captain Samuel, Deputy County Surveyor.
Mike Berry, County Surveyor.
So after 28 years of excellent county service, 14 of those years serving as our county surveyor, Mike Berry is retiring. His last workday will be this Friday. Mike has made an immense contribution to the county and to his profession. His knowledge, work ethic, humor, and presence will be greatly missed in our office and by various surveyors and other professionals, both countywide and statewide, who've had the pleasure of working with him. In 2016, with the retirement of our previous deputy county surveyor and the impending retirement of Mike, Kevin Samuel was hired out of a pool of several qualified candidates as the deputy county surveyor. And he was hired with the intent of developing him into our next county surveyor by allowing him to mine the vast reserves of surveying gold that Mike possesses during Mike's last years of service. Kevin brings with him 16 years of surveying experience, most of which was in the private sector. Kevin is a consummate professional. He's venerated by the local surveying community, and he has the highest endorsement of myself, our road department director, Chris Doty, and our current county surveyor, Mike Berry. Pursuant to County Code, Title II, Chapter 10, the county surveyor reports to the county engineer and is appointed by the board. So with that, I want to first publicly say thank you to Mike for all his years of service, and then
And all of you.
present to the board for their consideration order number 2019-027, appointing Kevin Samuel as county surveyor effective July 1, 2019.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, Mike, thanks for everything you've done for the county and your great service, and like you said, sense of humor and history lessons that everyone's learned through the years. Hopefully you'll continue to, I don't know if you're going to continue to reside here, but if you do, hopefully you'll continue to be involved with that. So,
I can't
ways.
afford to leave.
okay. So thanks.
And it's been an honor working with all the professionals in Deschutes County, our management, our leaders.
Yeah, great. So, and then Kevin, welcome to the position. I think we're probably going to support this appointment. So,
Thank you.
I'm sure.
So yeah, Mike, it's been a pleasure working with you. In fact, some of the misaligned neighborhoods in southern Deschutes County, but you had so much deep knowledge and information on that. You empowered me to be able to answer constituents' questions when it's a deep issue that we had to learn about. But thank you so much. I've still got that set of papers on my desk. I get a call once in a while, but it's important to know that we have run that to ground and what the facts are on that. So yeah, I'm sure Kevin, if you know deep knowledge about it, you'll know more in the future because people always ask. But thank you very much. I see at the Historical Society, and Mr. History is one of the aspects of your career. So thank you so much for what you've done, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
And then, look like
Commissioner, I just wanted to add to that. I've known Mike for the 20-some years that I've worked for the county, and he's always been a resource and not just an information resource, but just a great guy to check in with and get the true background on something, not just what's on paper, but the background beyond that. And so we're going to miss you immensely, and it's just wonderful that, Kevin, you've had a chance to kind of sponge up the information from Mike and the time you've been here, so hopefully it'll be a smooth transition. We can never replace Mike all the way, but I think we've done it just about as well as we possibly could in planning this transition long in advance.
You're going to love this kid.
And I wanted to thank you, too, for your service. It's really important to have continuity and history and, have a great time being retired, but I'm sure that there are parts of Deschutes that you can come back and help us out with for fun.
I've always been proud to work here.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Well, thank you. And Kevin, I know you'll have a great time. You have the weekend to relax and then hit it Monday.
There you go.
So I think, one of the things, so turning to Kevin and do you want to say anything in your defense? So.
Yeah, not at this time.
Okay, good. That's good. I think one of the things that makes surveying here so interesting and being the county surveyor is there's been so much development, change, and growth over the last 30 years, and it's going to, there's going to continue to be. And we're relatively a fairly new, we're the youngest county in Oregon, and so, and we're one of the last places in Oregon to actually get settled was Central Oregon. I was watching a thing last week on Jacksonville. I was talking about, when it was started in 1865 or something. We're like 40 years later, 50 years later, so lots still to do. So any other comments or?
No.
So good. So welcome aboard, and we're going to do this order, and good luck with all the challenges ahead. So.
Thank you.
I move to approve Board Order 2019-027 to appoint Kevin Samuel as County Surveyor.
And I'll second it.
All right. Any other discussion?
No.
Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yep.
Should we get a
transfer.
picture? Should we get a picture?
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
We don't have a.
Who has the camera? Oh my gosh, I gotta wear my taller shoes.
You guys.
Me and Dave here will
Huh? Come on,
go left and right
you put him up to it.
I think I've been bushwhacked here. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Now, who's covering this weekend? That's what I want to know.
I am.
Oh, you're
Yeah, my last day is the 30th.
Yeah, the
Okay, so you never know. We could have something happen.
I'll leave this under the mat.
Okay, everybody look at me. Thank you. It's easier than with 3 horses.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, it's a great place to
Yeah,
work.
appreciate it.
Proud of it. All righty, thanks.
Okay, our next item, Wayne Lowry is going to join us for Government Finance Officer Association Awards.
Good morning. Wayne Lowry, Finance Director. This is Andrea Perkins, our Budget Analyst, and James Wood, our Accounting Manager. So today what I'd like to do, the county's been awarded both the Budget Award and the CAFR Award, and so each year we make a presentation. Sometimes we have folks from the OGFOA come and make a presentation, or the GFOA. Today you have me, so here I am. So you're pretty familiar with both of these awards. We have plaques over here that hang in the board's waiting room lobby, evidencing the county's participation in both these programs for many years. So let me just talk about each of these, and then I think at the end it'd be appropriate to have a camera session with these plaques.
I could see that coming, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the CAFR. This is a very technical document, and you've all seen the county's CAFR. It's our annual comprehensive financial report. It's, 200 pages long or so, something like that. It's quite a chore to complete this. There's a lot of standards set forth by the GFOA for this program. And the whole concept here is to give a reader of this document everything they need to know in one book to try to help them understand the county's financial structure and the results of operations each year. It's also audited by an independent audit firm. We have Eide Bailey, and they have an opinion page in there which talks about that there's no exceptions, that what you see here presents fairly the financial statements of the county. So about half the counties in Oregon participate in this program. I think there are 17 of them that get this award, and most counties our size, and some even smaller, see great value in participating in this program. We've talked about bond ratings recently. Bond rating analysts find a lot of useful information in this document, and so it has a lot to do with not just our financials, but also our presence in the market when it comes to borrowing. You might recall Janine Faria. She was our longtime accounting manager up through last October. So this award really belongs to her. She retired, and James actually started last July, so he was involved in the production of the CAFR, and will continue on that tradition here at the county. So James, thanks for your work, and your staff. Appreciate that. Also want to mention Kristen Holt, one of our new accountants, also participated last year, as well as Chris Partain, which you all know from the fee schedule process. So thanks for your hard work and your efforts. So on the budget side, the GFOA also has the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, and our budget scores really highly in this program. And back when our current budget document was first put together in about 2010, 11, 12, kind of in there, Dave Embody did an awful lot of work to comply with the program requirements. And it all has to do with disclosure and information and making the document as useful and as easy to read as possible. And I think the county's program budget meets all those requirements and then some. So it's quite an effort to put that budget document together. And as soon as we go through our budget adoption resolutions a little bit later in this meeting, Andrea will start the process to put that final document together and submit it to the program. So Lonnie Burke prepared the document that got the award from 2019, and she retired last year, so Andrea has taken her place, and so she'll be accepting that award today. I think that's all I have to say, unless anybody has any questions. about either of these.
How many years in a row have we gotten these two awards?
Yeah, so the budget, we've gotten that 11 years and the CAFR 18 years. So Marty Wynn started the CAFR process a long time ago, and then the admin office started the budget process 11 years ago.
Well, congratulations.
I meant to pass that off to Tom. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Commissioner. I just add to what Wayne said. You know, it's easy to sometimes take for granted, you know, since we get these awards every year, that it's somehow less than a high bar, and it's an incredibly high bar. So I just wanted to reiterate the thanks that, you know, Wayne did to his staff, Wayne especially, who leads each of the people that he mentioned in the preparation of both those documents. And, you know, it's certainly not something that we take for granted, or that the staff and finance takes for granted. It's you know, it's the gold standard of the preparation of those very important critical documents to, you know, our county government. So I just wanted to thank Wayne and each of the staff, both in finance and admin, Whitney, Judith, and Eric, and so forth, who contribute to the end result that you see each year in the CAFR and the budget document.
Are there any comments? Or?
No, congratulations. I think you've probably put a lot of pressure on our new finance director, Wayne. But he's here today, so.
He's taking notes.
I know. It's like 11 years, 18 years. That's really amazing. It's great to be here at a county that has such high standards, and the fact that our bond rating was improved to AA1 this year. It's awesome, and I feel so good because you never know what the economy is going to do, but I feel like Deschutes County tries to be so well prepared for the future, and I thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you. Well, and this has been done in an environment of transitioning accounting systems and software systems in the back end, so congratulations for keeping this all going. That program budget document is such a wonderful tool for anyone to be able to get to a department, read about the org chart, the mission, vision, and the finances of a department, so the program budget itself, and then the line item budget, being able to really get down to those little items. So the products are just wonderful to be able to use. You know, we are on the budget committee, and we do know those parts and pieces, but I've been able to hand off that link to the program budget to citizens and get them right to where they want to go with the question. And then also in the environment, I'm thinking of the CAFR in the big picture, in the environment of expanded budgets and capital projects coming online and different things that we're doing. So it is a different lay of the land each year as these documents are being created. So it's great to have this horsepower and professionalism being able to produce these. So thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'll just reiterate what everyone else has said. Great job, Wayne, in getting this done. This has been my third budget year, and I was attending the budget sessions before, and I think it is easy to follow, and there's lots of information in those budgets, and each year you find stuff you didn't notice as much as the year before, but I think we've had good transitions from Janine, and then being able to come on with new staff, and Andrea working with her this year. We're looking forward to future years and our new finance director as well, so that's been great. So thanks for everything you did this year and getting it done. So,
Bud, if I could just interject here. So I want to thank all of you for your support and so forth through the years. It's been really a great environment to be in this position. I really enjoyed it. And right now in finance, there's so much promise and so many high caliber people that I would encourage you, if there's anything you want in your normal decision-making processes that's of a financial nature, don't hesitate to ask Greg, and I know anybody in finance would be delighted to get you what you need. So I've been asking you that, as we go through the monthly financials and so forth, but we're very transparent, and we have a lot of power and capacity in finance to get you what you need. So if you feel like you need some information, don't hesitate to ask. There's skills there to get it.
Good. That sounds good. Any comments, James or Andrea?
Now's your
Thanks for-
opportunity.
We'll be working with you, so, good, all right. So,
Congratulations, yep.
Yes.
Photo.
Tom, you're the budget officer, come on. I meant to say that. Okay, I'll remember. Come on. Let's get, you guys get the medal, you're the budget team.
Are we all set?
Oh, well, I don't care. It's good.
Ready?
Yeah.
Click of cameras. and-
Yeah, I know, just a second.
Yeah, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Friday.
Friday.
So you have walls to put those on, right? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, walls. We're gonna,
Yeah, they're here. They belong to the finance.
Yeah, what the hell is that about? You didn't tell me. Better not be.
Mr. Chairman, the board had a question earlier about how many buttons we ordered for the fair's 100th anniversary. I checked with our Fair and Expo staff, and 80,000 buttons were ordered, and they plan to give them out to everyone who enters the ticket gates during the fair while supplies last. So if you want one, well, if the general public wants one, come earlier in the week, because I think we end up with about 250,000 people coming through the.
We need more. Because I'm promoting them now. I think people should wear them before the fair to get people to go, so,
we actually want
good.
over 300,000 people to go to the fair.
yeah, that's our
So
goal.
That's the little goal.
And I don't think it was noted in the last item, but Tom Anderson is our budget officer, so he's equally involved with Wayne in terms of doing all these budgets and getting these all done, and supervise it for up to, 6 months that you start ahead of time. So, and does the statement, you bet. Right, the next item is number 12 is consideration of signing document number 2019-523, notice intent to award contract for cell 8 design and construction at the landfill.
Good morning. Tim Shimke, Director of the Department of Solid Waste. It's time, once again, to construct the next phase of Not Landfill. It's about a year-long process. We need to be able to have the new cell able to take waste about a year from now, by the end of June of 2020. So in March, we solicited for engineering consultants to assist us with that. We advertised in the Journal of Daily Commerce and the Bend Bulletin, sent out over 10 copies of the RFP to both consulting firms as well as plan centers. So the word got out there, but we did only receive 2 responses. Those responses were rated by a selection team consisting of myself, my operations manager, as well as Chris Doty over in the road department. And the responsible proposer was determined to be Jerry Friesen and Associates, who has done 6 of our last 7 cells. So very well qualified, knows our operation, has a very good relationship with DEQ. Basically, the scope of work here is he will develop the design of the cell and all the environmental infrastructure required in a cell to DEQ standards and get their buy-off. They will develop specifications, contract documents and specifications for us to use to bid for construction contractors. Will assist us in that bidding process, and will also oversee the construction process and produce as-built and various things that need to be done in order to meet DEQ's requirements for accepting waste in that cell. The other firm was, Jerry Friesen is out of Lake Oswego here in Oregon. The other firm was based in Phoenix, Arizona. The fees for the services were almost identical. Friesen was about $800 out of a $262,000 project. They were about $8,000 cheaper than the second-ranked firm. What you're considering is a signature of a notice of intent to award. That starts a protest period where the second-ranked bidder feels that something was amiss and wants to protest that. He has that ability. If there is no protest in the 10-day period, then the award is automatic. We don't need to come back in front of you guys for a final decision. So, any questions?
None.
Thank you for giving us that clear story of what you did, how you tried to reach out and get more bids than just the two, and the fact that it was very close as far as dollar, but the scoring was significantly for the people that have done 6 of our projects. So thank you, Tim.
So, yeah, Commissioner Adair is referring to the work session we had Monday to go through the kind of some of the details of this. So I don't have any questions either. Thanks for bringing it in front of us to get signed. So
With that, I'll move chair signature of document number 2019-523, a notice of intent to award contract for Cell 8 Design and Construction Management Services to G. Friesen and Associates.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
Commissioner Adair?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is a consideration of board signature of document 2019-517, which is an amendment to our medical examiner services. And Tom, you're going to...
Yeah, I'll cover this one.
Okay.
Commissioners, as you know, and later on this morning, we're going to review the proposed budget for FY or fiscal year 20. As you know, one of the elements of that budget is our medical examination program. Unlike other county services, the bulk of this program is contracted to a private physician in her office to perform this service. There were some adjustments requested as part of the budget process. Dr. Jada Van Amberg, our medical examiner, made a presentation to the Budget Committee requesting some adjustments to the compensation levels that her office receives for death investigations, preparation of death certificates to the state, coordination with the state medical examiner's office, and so forth. Those requests were recommended favorably by the Budget Committee, but again, because this is a contractor and not a county operation, it's necessary to memorialize those requested changes in a contract amendment as opposed to approving a new budget for that office. You will also be doing that as part of the budget adoption process, but in order to affect the changes that were approved by the Budget Committee, it's necessary to adjust the contract. So that's what's in front of you this morning, to consider those changes to the existing contract with our ME.
Okay. When does the current contract runs, is this a multi-year contract? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's self-renews.
Okay, self-renew. So, yeah, so this reflects kind of the change from where, like, kind of as a casualty to growth in a way that we really having somebody full-time, where we've had a lot of volunteer services that kind of we're able to use, but now we have, there's so much more need, and this is becoming more of a larger contract as a result of that, and we felt it was necessary to keep the services, so, okay. Yeah, this was explained during our budget session, so I don't have any problems with it, so.
Yeah, support from the budget session, so this is the implementation of what was discussed.
Yes, it was a pleasure to meet the doctor that does perform this very important, her expertise. I'm happy that we have her, and she's actually willing to serve in this capacity.
Okay, so do you want to move to approve? I guess it's the document number, and then called the second amendment.
I move that we approve for board signature document number 2019-517. It's the second amendment to Deschutes County contract number 217-090, and it's for medical examiner services.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
So, yeah, I would like to acknowledge, I mean, this is our partner for the district attorney's office as well as the sheriff's office and police agencies when, an investigation or just any death needs to be looked into. This is the partner that's doing it. It's evolved over the years a little bit. More resources are being invested in this. Just like you mentioned, it's kind of maturing in our Central Oregon area with a lot more people here. So I want to thank them for their partnership.
Okay, great. Commissioner Dare? We'll vote.
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thanks. So in this part of the agenda, we're going to go on and move through some variety of the different budget adoptions, but we have a hearing set on at the very end of today's agenda, and I don't know if people are here for that, on a marijuana production approval at 60148 Sterling Drive. A motion has been made to postpone the hearing, right? And I was wondering, I don't know if there's people here for that waiting, but that's kind of the last thing on our agenda. But so we're not planning now to do a full hearing. Is that correct still? Or people don't necessarily need to sit through the rest of it if they're here for that. What I was going to bring up.
My understanding from our discussion is it's been posted and published for this time, so
Yeah.
it would be a hearing that would be opened and then continued possibly. So that's a discussion that needs to happen.
Well, yeah, so we would give the right to anybody that's here to speak. We will open the hearing, but I think the applicant and the appellant are both going to present later is what is that, go ahead.
So I was prepared to open the public hearing today, and the applicant's here as well to request that continuation formally in front of the board.
Okay.
If the board is willing to grant the continuation, we could wait till the 24th for the testimony from the appellant and the applicant. But I think we agreed that anyone that's here that wanted to provide testimony could today.
And typically, we recommend, if being very sensitive to work schedules and that if folks have come and are prepared to testify today, it certainly, the applicant and appellant, as Commissioner Henderson noted, will be likely testifying at the continued public hearing if the board agrees to continue it. If somebody has a vacation schedule or just can't get off work again, of course, the opportunity to speak today is usually provided.
I guess I if there were people here waiting for that hearing, and I know some other people had been here and that have left, and I didn't know if they had been here for that. It's kind of the last thing, so you have to sit through a few more meetings. If you still want to testify today, it'll be the last thing, and we're going to give that opportunity, but we are going to have another hearing on the matter where the majority of the evidence and testimony is made, so, okay. So I'm just kind of putting that out there for people, but you can, if you want to stay and wait for us to open it, you can testify today, but I just wanted to alert people to that fact. That's all right, I think. And we're not trying to discourage anybody from testifying today, just we'll have another chance. The next item on the agenda, number 14, is the public hearing, consideration of the board's signature of the resolution 2019-15, Deschutes County fiscal year to 2020 budget adoption. And this will be, we'll actually open a hearing, correct?
Yes.
After we get the original, or the initial, for anybody that wants to testify as to that matter.
So you want your staff report now then?
Yes.
All right, so we finished our budget
Or
process.
is this the hearing then, as part of,
Staff
okay.
report and then open for public testimony.
Open after the staff report, okay.
So what you have before you today and the next 7 agenda items are the 7 budgets that the county Board of Commissioners is responsible for taking action on. And we'll go through those. Some of them are special districts you'll need to reconvene, I suppose. But the first one is the county's budget. And so that's the big one. That's most of the budget dollars that we're talking about here this morning. So the Budget Committee finished their process. The The only change in this budget is, at the Budget Committee meeting, you might recall that there was one lingering issue about getting plans review through the process quicker in the Community Development Department. And so Budget Committee asked the county administrator to have a conversation with the department head in CDD, Nick, about how best to make that happen. And the result of that conversation was the addition of one more position, and it was an inspector position, but I believe that facilitates an additional plans examiner. So that's the only change that was added to the budget from what the Budget Committee talked about on that Friday of the Budget Committee process. So this budget's prepared and ready for you to adopt when you're ready.
Okay. Okay. So following staff report, we'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone wants to testify about the budget or as proposed. If you are we supposed to do the blue sheets for this hearing too, or?
That's for Sharon's benefit, but you could certainly have folks come up without it. They could fill it up afterwards.
Okay. Is there anyone present that would like to testify on that matter, on this matter?
Commissioners?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could add to what Wayne just said on a couple things real quick. Number one, in terms of the Budget Committee's direction to take a hard look at the turnaround times for plans examination and CDD, as Wayne said, Nick and I did confer. The position that's being added is more of a lower level plans examination position, and the idea is that which we've done before, is to convert permit tech over to that side of things. We've had great luck in training an individual, a permit tech, to be able to do that, which frees up the plans examiners, others, to do the higher level, more complex examinations. And it's Nick and Randy Scheid's belief that the action that's part of the amended budget today will significantly address those turnaround times that were noted by the Budget Committee during the budget review for community development. So we can certainly answer any more questions that you might have on that. The other one was and I believe that's why Ashley is here, after the Budget Committee finished its deliberations, as you may recall, one of the positions requested by the District Attorney's Office was a victim's advocate, which originally was an enhancement request or an additional position to be funded by the general fund since the budget was submitted by the department. Between that point and Budget Committee, the department found out that they were awarded a grant that would essentially pay for that position. However, that grant doesn't kick in until the beginning of October. So there's a 3-month gap in funding for that position. Ashley can speak to this, that the DA's office is requesting that gap be covered to continue an existing individual who's been doing that work until the grant kicks in. So essentially that covers it. I asked the DA to first look to see if there were salary savings that may be able to cover that gap funding, but since it's the beginning of the year, there evidently, according to John's analysis, is not. So that's a separate request, again, that would be part of your consideration this morning.
Come up.
Thank you.
Go
And
ahead.
Tom did a great job. Ashley Beatty, program manager for the Victims Assistance Program. Tom did a fantastic job summarizing, and just a friendly reminder that Victims Assistance has its own budget. So we're Fund 212. It's actually a completely different fund, separate from the district attorney's office. So in terms of salary savings or things like that, where I was looking, is there anything I can do to fill this gap of the 3 months? There wasn't much extra, because the majority of our funds come from grants. And so there's not much savings you can do from grants.
And I missed when Tom was talking, I couldn't remember, is this a person you already have that, and the funding's already assured starting in October?
Yes, but let me clarify. So I've actually been out on family medical leave, and I'm just coming back. So I've had a temp and been using a temp employee through Express Personnel for the last 3 months. That temp position is scheduled to end on Friday. And then, yes, we have reassurance that a grant will be issued. It is guaranteed funding for victims assistance, but that funding wouldn't start until October 1st. And so my request would be for $15,080, which would pay to continue that temp from 7/1, so July 1st, to September 30th. And then hopefully I assure you I will be organized and have somebody hired by 10/1.
So it won't, the person that's a temp necessarily isn't necessarily the person, but you're going to have that spot is filled now, and you're going to keep that person until you have decide on the permanent. And how long is the grant for?
For 2 years.
Okay. Any questions? Commissioner Dare, any questions?
No.
Actually, okay, thank you. All right, that's probably all we need from you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else here that is here to testify with regard to the Deschutes County budget for 2020? Okay, I guess we'd close the hearing. And good. So we'll have a motion on this, and then I guess discussion on any comments on anything, unless there's any amendments to the budget from.
Yeah, so just kind of business of the choices here. So in fact, this one page here is amazing. I mean, that's the big picture here. You look at it, it's like, oh, those are the numbers. So we're talking about a total of $428 million in the general fund and the appropriations and the money coming and going. One of the big things is like the road capital improvement fund is expanding, and then the future projects. So that's why the budget it's growing these days. But the business of making decisions right now. So do we motion to accept another FTE for community development, or is that in this?
That's already in the resolution.
That's in there.
For you. If you choose to add the 15,000.
And that's separate, okay.
You need to mention that in the motion, and then we'll make sure the numbers are adjusted.
So that would, yep, okay, understood. So there is one item of business to add to it, okay.
Yeah.
So a comment on that request then,
What's that?
if you're ready for
Yeah,
that.
sure.
So I would much rather have the district attorney involved in coordinating on this than the victim's advocate person being here. So nothing against the person who just sat in front of us, but I don't feel like we're aligned with the guidance of the elected DA and his office in this effort. So I'm not going to be supportive of that special request at this time.
Commissioner Dare, any comments on the special request?
It's $15,000 for, 3 months? So it's $5,000 a month. Well, because they do have a grant for 2 years, I could support it.
Well, so I would like to separate maybe this vote from the
Right.
budget overall. I guess that's the logistics of this.
Yes.
but
Can we do a motion to
Yeah.
amend the resolution to add that, and then we can vote on that, and then we can vote on the resolution
Yeah, because I mean,
itself?
the package
Okay.
is wonderful, yeah.
So I was going to comment generally about the district attorney's requests and the budget for this year. I did look back today, this morning. I was interested in the growth of those departments, which I'll talk more about the district attorney, but then I remembered there was a separate fund. So since, in the last 5 years, the Victims Assistance Fund has grown from, in the fiscal year 15, was 424,000. Now it's 856. So it's more than 100% increase in the Victims Assistance, which has, been, I think, due to increased services, a lot of entrepreneurial efforts to get the grants by Ashley and district attorney. But it's a new direction for the district attorney's offices historically to have that extent of it. I haven't really thought about not approving the 3 months if we already have somebody working that role. I guess for clarification, did we have this person before 3 months ago, or were they added 3 months ago? I thought there was a continuation of there was a previous grant and it's running out, and then you've got a new grant, or, so what is the background of that?
Yes, please come.
Yeah, come back up.
So this is actually somebody, kind of ties in all the challenges you guys have given us, who was a volunteer previously. We've had 2 instances where we've needed to utilize a temp budget for somebody on medical leave. And so this is someone who initially started as a volunteer, was able to be hired as a temp when somebody went out on medical leave. And now this is her second round as a temp with our office. Her goal is to get hired on full-time, so I would anticipate her applying for the position, but we do plan on doing an open competitive process.
But what I'm really asking is, was this position there before this person was hired? So you're asking, you started this position 3 months ago, basically. You're asking to continue it for 3 more months until you get the 2-year funding.
Yeah, and just a point of clarification, it started because I was gone. And so there was some shifts in terms of picking up a workload while I was out on leave.
But but now that you're back, we're adding a position. It's growth of the number of FTE in victims assistant, which was started, that's what you're saying. So really, we're starting 3 months early. If we give you the 15,000, because you said she's been filling an absence related to family medical leave. Okay, so one of the things about growth of county government, I'll just say, is that, and it's why we kind of look at how many new employees we add, is there's a lot of costs besides the salaries of people. Once they become employees, there's all of the benefits for the health and the retirement plans. So I figured it out about a year ago that the average cost for every new Deschutes County employee is $118,000 a year. So the official position really is funding starts in October.
And just, I might, in terms of discussing the budget and how much victims assistance has grown, the board has approved, since my tenure, which started 4 or 5 years ago, 1 FTE out of general fund. The rest of that growth is 100% out of grants. So lots of that funding, I believe, I don't know the numbers right in front of me, but there is, I believe, 2 additional FTE and some are project-related funding. So that money is allocated to the budget, but unless I spend it, we wouldn't get reimbursed. So I just want to make sure that I outline that 1 FTE has been added out of general fund. Everything
I
else
mentioned that too. I said
Yeah.
a lot of entrepreneurial effort
No,
by
I
the victims
appreciate that,
assistant
I just wanted to
department.
clarify.
But this 15 is coming from the general fund, really, is what. So Commissioner Bone, you raised an interesting thing about whether district attorneys should be here advocating. I guess I'm okay that Ashley's done it on this kind of an item. I am concerned with when we keep growing departments, that we have other departments that grow because of funding from federal sources, et cetera. What happens when those dry up? Do the county taxpayers have to pay for the same things that the federal government or state government were? Is this something we locally want? I mean, as long as you can get the funds, I'm okay. And
If I could plug our finance department and our HR, they've been fantastic. Anytime we do get a grant, they're by biennium, so the 2 years, they're posted as limited duration unless the board has specifically said we would continue this position. So previous postings that I've done pertaining to 2-year grants have been posted specifically with limited duration, and then the finance and HR departments contact me every time that needs to be renewed. And so they confirm, is the funding being renewed? Yes, then a new agreement goes out to the employee, just so that we're not guaranteeing that.
I'm just curious, what is the grant amount?
It's the Victims of Crime Act.
No, how much is it?
Oh,
Yes.
So it's actually
For 2 years.
It is,
Per month.
and so it's the same funding. It's a non-competitive grant that's a pass-through funding from the federal government, and then they go through the Department of Justice Crime Victims Survivor Services Division. They just changed their name, sorry. And it's specifically to fund victims assistance programs. It's based on a formula. So they provide funding based on crime rate and then population. And because our crime rate has increased and our population has increased, our funding increased by, and I don't have the exact numbers, I apologize, but it went from 200 to almost 300,000, and so it will cover the FTE in its entirety, including the benefits.
So it's 300,000 then?
Roughly. I'm going off memory.
Okay.
It would actually be in the budget.
How many of your employees, so I've never even thought about this, and it didn't come out of the budget. How many of the victims' assistance are funded by general, employees are funded by general funds, and how many you say they're grant? Because you said only one's been added into the general fund. Any idea on that?
Yeah, I believe only 3 of us 7 are general fund funded. I could do it in my head really quick. Yeah, 3 of 7 are general fund.
And does this additional person make you 7 or 8?
This would make us 8 FTE total.
So you're 8, right? Today you're 8.
With the temporary.
Temporary, so. Okay. All right, so I guess what Commissioner Bone's asking is we have a separate motion to amend it, and we, if you want to make that motion, or, yeah.
I thought we were going to vote on this separately? And then-
Yeah, make a motion to, on the amendment to add to the current resolution a funding for, is it a specific number that we would say, or for a 3-month? $15,000.
Because actually then, if it's 300,000, you're going to get 12,500 a month from that federal grant. But, okay. All right. So, okay, I will move that we allow this additional funding of $10,080?
$15,000.
$15,080 for a victim's temporary employee until the federal funding comes available October 1st.
So I guess I don't know if this is what you're identifying about the being.
Well, I can say, I mean, I've been asking for facility coordination a little bit over there. It's the kind of the management and the vision of what we're doing, how the services balance. So it's, as I say, it's not any specific person or service we're providing. There's just kind of a big picture that I don't think jives real well with what I'd like to see as a partner, as another elected official that we help fund. So as I say, I'm just not in a spot to provide more resources to something that I think we can coordinate better.
Yeah, I guess now that I've kind of understood what's happened here, I guess what I see is the budget committee agreed to fund somebody starting October as a, whether you have planned for a grant, but we're kind of levering in to get this 8-person going sooner, and it's somebody that's been there, and I hear that you're wanting to continue it, but
Well,
yeah.
so one more
I'm
question.
A bit trouble with, I kind of agree in terms of the process in a way that, if we hadn't asked all these questions, all that wouldn't have been clear to us. I thought this was somebody was from a previous grant that you had a gap, which we've done this with. We did this with the health budget for this year. There was somebody that we didn't have funding yet, so we just said, well, let's keep them going. But you've actually started somebody, and then so we're growing the department faster than the budget committee had authorized.
Well, and just to be clear, I'm not sure the budget committee was aware that the grant didn't start October 1st. So the FTE was requested, and the district attorney and my department requested several FTE. And so we did kind of pull back on our push for this because we learned of this funding. But I think I did a poor job in making the budget committee aware that in doing this, the funding would not be available until 10/1. And so, I feel like I could have done a better job just of making the budget committee aware that there would be a gap here where we would go that 3 months until we could get that additional assistance. So lesson
Is there an
learned for me.
opportunity with existing other appropriations from the district attorney's office to support that?
As Ashley said, that's all in the general fund, the DA's office. This is in a separate fund, and I don't think, their budget's pretty tight, so I don't think there's room there.
I tried really hard. I looked.
Yeah, I guess the underlying thing is if it's kind of like, well, it should be easy for us to come up with 15, but we see everybody's budgets, and so lots of departments have more money. They carry over money from one year to the next, so finding 15,000 doesn't seem like, in most budgets, wouldn't be a problem. So you agree with her that finding it within the victim's assistant budget can't be done?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean,
General fund.
They're mostly salaries, and so they have people in place already. Unless they had a vacancy or something.
Because
Well, do they have, our little monthly reports you give us, and there's the ending year balance. Is there going to
we
be
don't report.
$50,000 having in an ending fund balance that they could just, if they want to keep the person, they can fund it out of that rather than getting some more? I mean, because, the backstory we're going to get to about the whole district attorney's budget was increased with these lots of requests, and so I just was wondering.
Yeah, I suppose if you're inclined not to approve the addition of general fund money, we in finance could work with Ashley to see if, there's a way to fund the position starting July 1st.
Actually, that's precisely the question that I asked of the DA, and he may have passed that question on to you, Ashley, but I asked if there were any anticipated salary savings within the program that could fund this temporary employee for 3 months. It's just a continuation of the temp that was covering for Ashley while she was out on leave. And the answer was no. So I believe that question has been asked and answered. So if there's...
Well, I know, but the district attorney also has written us letters that he's not going to do this. If he doesn't get money from us, he's not going to do this. And so it's different than most of our budgets. And so wouldn't Wayne have the access to those numbers for, this is really, isn't this kind of the point you're making a little bit?
Yeah, I've said my piece. I'm just not supportive of adding an FTE in this situation. Victims assistance, great service, we want to do it, but how does it fit in with the throughput of public safety? I've said this many times in the meetings, and that's in coordination with the district attorney and the courts and the public safety system. So you're advocating for your program, and you're doing a great job doing that, but the little bit bigger picture is, how does this fit in? And now we're adding an FTE, and you've even explained, because you're on Family Leave Act and this temporary person is here that's going to be funded, now we're adding an FTE to the system, partially paying for it out of general fund. So a little bit too many moving parts right now.
Mr. Chair, if I might, I'm certainly not I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Oh, I was just, Ashley, you're back to work now, correct?
I am.
Okay, so you're back to work, and it's only 3 months till your grant actually kicks in. That wouldn't, okay, all right, because no one seconded my motion, so, okay.
Well, go ahead.
Well, again, I'm not much of a number cruncher, but I am cognizant that the district attorney's recruiting for attorneys right now, a couple deputy DAs, Kathleen's here. And unless they're unemployed currently, I can't imagine they're starting work July 1. Typically, there's a good month notice. So whether that would offer some dollars in the DA's budget that could fund this, I just throw that out.
I'll defer to Wayne to explain it because his team had to explain it to me, but just my budget is separate.
No, I understand, but I think what they're saying, if because you're somewhat related to the DA and you work with the DA, that the DA may have some budget savings, in part because his 2 new deputy DAs, in theory, were being funded from July 1. And again, I can't fathom they're going to start work July 1 if they're advertising and recruiting right now, unless both of them are unemployed at the moment.
It was $585,000 that we approved in additional funding for those employees, so there may be some money there.
We want to hold on to the authority of the budget appropriations at the Board of Commissioners instead of having two departments wheeling and dealing in their building across the street. And I think that's the bottom line.
I kind of hate to admit this, but, your county council has weighed in pretty well on this financial issue. So that doesn't happen every day. But it does bring to mind that, one solution here is to have the DA's office actually just pay directly the temporary help for this 3-month period out of the budget that they've already been given.
Temporary help line.
And so that's one solution. And then in October, when that person starts in victims, they get paid out of the victims fund as anticipated.
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to that. I mean,
That would work.
especially if it's a temp.
And that wouldn't require an amendment to the resolution.
That would
So-
not?
Would not.
Oh.
Okay.
So there's existing appropriation in the DA's office, which is already in the general fund. Certainly some salary savings there. The DA could
Yeah.
pay this person directly or this cost directly and not bother with transfers and all that stuff. So it wouldn't affect the budget at all.
So kind of given this clarity, and thanks, it may seem kind of tedious or small, but it has to do with like you said, the budget committee's responsibility. I had thought this was a continuation of a previous grant, and if this was just an overlap time like it was in the health department, I remember us agreeing to that. We could have agreed to this at the budget committee meetings, which was just a month ago. So I'm going to agree with Commissioner DeBonne on this, that not to take an extra 15,000 of the general fund to fund this, because that was the time to bring it up, and that's when we set these budgets, really. So, and if there was not an understanding, and I know it's anyway. So,
Okay.
right. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
so the motion
Thank you, Ash.
to amend will die for lack of second. Then we'll go on to the resolution itself, and a motion supporting the passage of that.
Closing the public hearing, I guess,
Oh.
just procedurally.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, so I'll close I thought I had already, actually. I think I already.
It would be
but
deemed closed, but
I
yeah.
think I closed it before we started talking about that, but maybe not. But anyway, we'll close the public hearing if we hadn't already, and we'll seek a motion to approve the resolution 2019-015.
So yeah, I'll move resolution 2019-015, the Deschutes County fiscal year 2020 budget.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Great work product, great process. We do take a lot of time to do it, but, starting at basically the end of the year with the assumptions, the beginning of the year with department head meetings and kind of scoping out what we're going to do, this process really flows very well year to year. So I want to thank the staff and Tom and Wayne very specifically for putting this together.
Commissioner Dare, comments?
It was 4 long days. Thank you so much for adding all those extra meetings regarding the health department this year. I thought that was time extremely well spent. So thank you for making that difference. And I'm just happy that we are lowering the property tax rate by 6 cents, continuing what was done the prior year. So, thank you.
So, yeah, thank you, and all your department and Tom for the hard work on the budget. I will make a couple comments. One about the tax rate. So for people that don't know or people that are watching, in Oregon we have a unique situation with property taxes that every year since about 1998 or 99, your property taxes on a assessed valuation automatically goes up 3% a year. So over 20 years, that's a 60% increase in your property taxes, and it's one of the reasons I've been an advocate for lowering the property tax rate. We lowered it 4 cents 2 years ago, 2 cents last year, combined 6 cents. That's the equivalent of about $1.5 million that stays in taxpayers' pockets rather than going into the government general fund. I'm still supportive and will be supportive in the future of reduce that rate further if we can afford to as our resources continue to grow, because it's just automatically taking more from each of us. And income taxes don't work that way. Other sales taxes don't work that way. You have to buy more to tax more. You have to make more. This one, just because you own it and the valuation, which can fluctuate. I've had my house almost 20 years, and so it's doubled twice, but it's been cut in half once, so it isn't worth, it's not the same kind of thing. You have value, but, so I'm in support of getting more money to taxpayers, and hopefully we can look at that again next year. I also wanted to comment, to anybody watching or thinking about this, the real abnormality this year, I think, in the budget process was the district attorney's kind of threats to public safety and prosecution. If he didn't get a lot more funds, we ended up giving additional funds. The budget committee spent a lot of time thinking about what funds to get, trying to prioritize those. We added, as I think Commissioner Dare said, over, I think it's $500,000 or $600,000.
$585,000
to the budget. It's had growth where hopefully that will allow him to do the criminal prosecutions that are required by statute. He's an officer of the state, but the employees are county employees. And then we've had some other growths in this budget that I think addressed a lot of concerns. We spent a lot of time on the health budget and some of the growth issues there, and I think those are notable. We've tried to be responsive to the community development, the continued growth in the community, and so I'm in favor of this budget. So take the vote. Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Thank you. So the next item is the Rural Law Enforcement District fiscal year budget. This would be part of what's really called the sheriff's budget. So,
And you will convene as the governing body for the rural law enforcement district.
okay. So do we need,
Did we do this one? Did we do 16?
I think the countywide goes first.
oh,
We do 16 first.
okay, sorry.
Countywide first.
Must have picked up the wrong one.
You'll do the two back to back, but you are convening as the governing body for those two
Oh,
districts.
countywide, yeah. What'd I go?
You went to the rural.
Oh, rural, okay, countywide, so this would be for primarily jail operations and things, but, yeah, go ahead. So we'll reconvene as the countywide law enforcement district governing body. Is that what we're reconvening as? Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
Yeah, so quick staff report there. This is just one of the budgets that supports the sheriff's office. And that's a unique thing here in Deschutes County as far as county funding, property tax funding for sheriff operations to be fully funded by these two levies. So it's a great feature of Deschutes County that you don't see in a lot of other counties. So both the tax rates in these districts are not anticipated to change this in fiscal year 20. And the resolution that you see before you, number 16, is consistent with the decisions made by the Budget Committee and the Sheriff's Office in the budget process. No changes are being recommended at this time.
In the resolution itself, so the contingency, is that referring to what is currently set aside or will be set aside as a result of this budget?
That's the part of the budget that is going to be adopted as contingency for fiscal year 20.
So not appropriated for the,
Well, it's appropriated, but it would take a board action to use it.
okay.
But really, as you recall, the business manager, Joe Brundage, presentation on the future of tax rates, that was basically the ending fund balance that you saw in there.
Right.
It's sort of protected by this contingency line.
Okay, good. All right. So is there anyone that wants, do we open a hearing on this too? So we'll open a hearing on this. If there's anybody here that wants to testify about the countywide law enforcement district fiscal year 2020 budget. Seeing no one, we'll close the hearing and support of the resolution. When do you want to make it?
I move we adopt resolution number 2019-016, adopting the budget, levying ad valorem taxes, and making appropriations for the countywide law enforcement district, District Number 1.
Second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So now we're, next item, we'll reconvene as the Rural Law Enforcement District to consider the Rural Law Enforcement District 2020 budget adoption.
So as far as the staff report, there are no changes from the Budget Committee action in this resolution.
Any questions of Wayne or?
No, I just note that I believe a year ago, the rural budget was, wasn't it dropped 6 cents?
The tax rate, yeah.
Yes, the tax rate.
140 to 134.
Right, because it wasn't being over allocated for rural, so I appreciate that, and it's staying the same.
And so this is for rural patrol, basically, the sheriff's office responsibilities outside the incorporated cities of Redmond and Bend, but providing services in Lapine and Sisters, and then all the rural county.
So interesting, so the city of Lapine, on their tax bill, they have the tax rate for this district, but in the city of Sisters, this incorporated city, it's a contract with the city because they were incorporated, 50 years before, or however many years before. So it's a contract with the city in the Sisters, but it's a line item for every property in Lapine.
Oh, interesting. So do they pay more in one place than the other, or does it?
I have never run those numbers. That'd be interesting to look at, per resident.
Yeah, it's interesting. Any other comments?
No.
I have a motion to,
Did we open the public hearing? We did.
oh,
Yeah, you
we
did.
opened it and
Yeah,
then
no,
we closed it, yep,
closed it.
I think.
Very efficient.
We closed it now.
Okay.
I'll move board signature of resolution number 2019-017, Rural Law Enforcement District, fiscal 2020 budget adoption.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Commissioner Bowden?
Yes.
Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So now we'll reconvene as the County 911 Service District governing body for the consideration of the 911 fiscal year 2020 budget for adoption.
So you have Resolution 2019-18 in front of you. No changes to this beyond what the Budget Committee discussed on the Friday of the budget process. Just to note, the tax rate staying the same, I think for the third year since the new maximum tax rate of 42.5 cents was set. So that is unchanged.
4 cents, 4.2.
42.5.
So this year we've had
Oh,
some
I'm sorry, yeah.
capital
I was thinking 4-H already.
Yeah.
expenditures for kind of improvements on the 911 radio system, but we'd postpone the CAD purchases, I think, the CAD system, which will go into this budget here,
I think
correct?
those are being provided for completion of that in 2020.
Yeah, good, okay. Any comments?
It's a very valuable district for all the public service agencies, having these resources, transferring the radio system that used to be at the sheriff's office in partnership with the city of Bend and Redmond. So, yeah, everybody's working together pretty well here. We went through a bumpy road a couple years ago, but we're getting there.
Comments?
No, I'm just happy that Sarah's now at the head of interim, or no, wait, what is her title? She's,
Director.
well, she's the director, but she has a year of probation, is that not correct? So,
Well,
but
she's still, but you're not.
I know, she's doing a great job, and I'm happy she's there. So I move board
No,
signature.
wait, we ought to open the hearing and close it.
Oh,
So I'll open the hearing for the 911 Service District fiscal year 2020 budget. Is there anyone that would like to testify on that? Seeing no one, we'll close the hearing. Now I'll have a motion.
Okay, I move board signature of resolution number 2019-018, a resolution adopting the budget for Deschutes County 911 Service District for fiscal year 19 to 20.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay. Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner Bone?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So now we'll reconvene as the governing body for the Deschutes County Extension and 4-H Service District for adoption of the fiscal year 2020 budget. Staff report.
So there's no changes to this. This is the.
Yeah, I was,
Tax rate is the maximum tax rate. It's been taxed for many years at 2.24 cents. Again, no changes to this. I just would note that you notice the capital side of this budget's much larger than it has been in the past. The resources there are provided by the county through the loan to the 4-H Extension Office, the district, and they plan on finishing that project here this fall.
Yeah, good. So I'll open the hearing on the County Extension and 4-H Service District for anyone that wants to comment on fiscal year 2020 budget. Having no one here, we'll close the hearing and seek a motion in support of this resolution.
I'll move board signature of resolution number 2019-019, Deschutes County Extension and 4-H Service District fiscal year 2020 budget.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Well, my only comment, yeah, the building's going up and it's looking good. I think they're happy about the progress. We were out there yesterday and that's what I heard. I didn't get a chance to look at it yesterday, but it's we're going to be out there again tomorrow, so maybe we can walk through it, but it's looking good.
I
Okay.
drove by it. It looks good.
Yeah. So Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. Now we'll reconvene as the governing body for Black Butte Ranch Service District for budget adoption of the fiscal year 2020 budget. Staff?
So again, no changes to this, this budget. I would note that I believe that their local option tax rate of 55 cents, I think fiscal year 20 is the last year of that 5-year levy. So I imagine they'll be seeking some renewal of that levy at some point.
Yeah.
Everything else is as it should be.
And Tom, didn't we get haven't we started that work on that already, or I thought there was an email about that or
So at the
something?
lunch, I think Dave Doyle advised the collected board. I know you weren't able to attend the lunch with the district, but Dave's going to assist the district board and Chief Kelly in looking at their options in terms of either renewing the local option or, some other, perhaps even a conversion or attempted conversion to a permanent rate. So I think that was the note that Dave advising, that he's just following up on the lunch we had last week, that he's stands ready to assist.
All right, well, I'll open the hearing for the Black Butte Ranch Service District. Is there anyone here that would like to testify about this budget? Seeing no one, I'll close the hearing. Seek a motion to support this.
I move board signature for resolution number 2019-020, making the budget and appropriations for Black Butte Ranch Service District for fiscal year 2019 to 2020.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further comments? Commissioner Adair?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. I think this is this the last one? Yeah, so now we'll reconvene as the Sun River Service District governing body for discussion and hearing on the budget adoption for fiscal year 2020.
So there's one small change to this. It's really a technical change to just balance this budget. We did that through unappropriated ending balance, so it doesn't change the operational side of this budget. Other than that, this is as the Budget Committee authorized in their process.
Okay. So I'll open the hearing for the Sun River Service District for any comments from anyone. Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. I'll seek a motion in support of this resolution.
I'll move board signature of resolution number 2019-021, Sun River Service District fiscal year 2020 budget.
I'll second it.
Further comments?
I just want to acknowledge that Joe Healy is their controller, and it was really great to see him at the budget hearings and know that he's doing a wonderful job for this group. So thank you, Joe.
Right. Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Is Joe Healy from Hepner?
No, he's,
Might be. I was waiting. I was
me
waiting.
too. I was waiting for it.
no, he's not from Hepner.
There's a, yeah.
I know the Healy, that's my maiden
That's
name,
my name, yeah.
and he's not related.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
I couldn't help it.
So for everybody watching or anybody here today that doesn't realize it, so we're the governing body for all of these service districts, but all of the hard work done is done by the different districts. They come to us during the budget week, just like the departments for our county do. And we've gone through all these, so that's, we don't spend more time on them here. We've heard most of these, so it's really the opportunity for people to speak or comment if they want to in any of these districts as well as with the county. So we finished that course of action for today, so thank you. So now the next item is a public hearing on board consideration of November, order number 2019-25.
Hello again, Cody Smith, Road Department. With some recent private developments in the Redmond UGB, the city and subsequent annexation of those developments, the city has also annexed sections of Northwest Pershaw Way, Northwest 10th Street, and Northwest Way, all of which are county roads. Annexation of a county road does not automatically transfer jurisdiction of that road to the city. ORS 373.270 identifies procedure for jurisdictional transfer of county roads to cities. Pursuant to the Redmond Urban Growth Area Management Agreement that we have with the city of Redmond, the city is required to request jurisdictional transfer of county roads upon annexation. The city has made a request for the surrender of the segments of road that I mentioned before. In accordance with the ORS and Board Resolution 2019-013, today we're holding a public hearing for interested parties to offer testimony on the requested jurisdictional transfer. This is a very procedural event. These annexations and the city's request have already been the subject of numerous city public meetings. The department has not received any public comments regarding the requested transfer. So at this time, I'm requesting that you open the public hearing regarding the jurisdictional transfer. And upon closing the public hearing, I ask that you consider the order of jurisdictional transfer. And if approved, the road sections identified will be transferred to the city of Redmond effective at midnight tonight.
All right, so I'll at this time open the hearing on for public consideration of this order. Is there anyone here that wants to testify on this matter? And if there is none, we'll go ahead and close the hearing and take up consideration of the requested order. Comments or thoughts?
So it's good to be able to surrender a piece of road to another jurisdiction, I guess, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
These are fairly small
Yeah,
segments.
they're
but
just
yeah.
little. Yep.
So this means they take over maintenance, is that what you said?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, okay. Any questions, Commissioner Dare?
I just had a question about Exhibit A. It said that it's 27,823 square feet. Does that mean that's how much is in the right-of-way? You know, at the bottom of that?
Exhibit A, you might be referring to Exhibit A.
From the city of Redmond?
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of Exhibit As in here because
Okay.
there's Exhibit As tied to various city actions here.
Okay.
All tied into, that are all under the umbrella of my Exhibit A for the resolution. So I'm not sure
It's
exactly
the
what
legal
page you're on.
description is, it says the portion of Northwest Pershaw Way right-of-way. And so I just wondered if
Okay.
it was
So
all, it's like,
You're on packet page 162 here.
Perfect.
I believe, yes. Yeah, so that's the area in the legal description of the portion of Northwest Pershaw Way that they're in.
okay, so
Very
that's,
small section on Northwest Pershaw.
okay, so but that's like 2/3 of an acre.
Approximately, yeah. But it's only, as far as road miles, it's only about 1/10 of a mile.
1/10 of a mile, okay, all right, I just noted that.
And the other two really don't list how
No.
big they are. In the descriptions, they don't say how many.
No, they were all different annexations, different actions by the city of Redmond, so different developers, different surveyors for each one of those.
So we're, in combined, we're doing three different, it's three things they've done, we're doing all in one step.
Yes, packet page 166 in your agenda packet there, which is Exhibit B to the resolution, that's kind of an overall map.
Oh, yeah.
So the segment of Northwest Way, that's about just slightly under half a mile. As I said, that section on Pershall Way is about a tenth of a mile, and then it's about 0.2 of a mile, the section on 10th Street.
Good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know, I just thought it, that's better description.
Yeah. Okay, seek a motion.
With that, I'll move board signature of order number 2019-025, surrendering jurisdiction of portions of Northwest Pershall Way, Northwest 10th Street, and Northwest Way to the city of Redmond, Oregon.
And I'll second it.
Further discussion? Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
Commissioner Adair?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Thank you. So that brings us to time for the public hearing on the appeal of the marijuana production approval at 60148 Sterling Drive in Bend.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I don't know if we're planning on going through the entire hearing procedures speech like we normally do. But
Whatever you have to
could.
do, yeah.
I think you probably should. Going to open the hearing, at least for anyone that's here today that isn't going to come back on the continued date or doesn't know that they will.
Okay, so I'll start then. So this is the time and place set for hearing on 247-19-000431-A and an appeal of file 247-18-000915-AD. Staff will outline the hearing procedures that will be followed.
The hearings body of the Board of County Commissioners in this case will take testimony and receive written evidence concerning an appeal of an administrative determination. The address of the property is 60148 Sterling Drive in Bend. The applicant, Tommy Nemzo, is requesting approval of an administrative determination to allow a recreational marijuana production facility. All testimony shall be directed to the hearings body. At the conclusion of this hearing, the hearings body will deliberate towards a decision or continue the hearing or deliberations to a date and time certain. The hearing will proceed as follows. Staff will provide a brief report. The applicant will present its testimony and evidence. The appellant will present its testimony and evidence. Opponents and proponents will present their testimony and evidence. Any other interested persons will then present a testimony or evidence. The applicant, as the party bearing the burden of proof, will then be afforded an opportunity to present rebuttal testimony. If requested by the hearings body, staff will provide closing comments. A full written version of the hearings procedure is available at the table at the side of the room. Commissioners must disclose any ex parte contacts, prior hearing observations, or conflicts of interest.
Does any commissioner have anything to disclose, and if so, please state the nature of same and whether you can proceed.
I have none.
I have none.
Yeah, I have no contact, haven't been to the site, and other than our work session, don't know really anything more about it, so, and except for all the information we've been given. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner based on ex parte contacts, biases, or conflicts? Hearing no objections, the hearings is now open. Staff will proceed with a brief staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner. For the record, my name is Izzy Liu, Associate Planner with the Deschutes County Planning Division. I'll keep my staff report brief and just wanted to highlight the timeline at the very end. So in front of the board today is an appeal of an administrative determination for a marijuana production facility located at 60148 Sterling Drive. The property is located within the exclusive farm use zone, is approximately 17 acres, and is predominantly located in an area that is also zoned exclusive farm use zone. The properties to the east, or I'm sorry, to the west is the Sundance East subdivision, which is the properties that are zoned rural residential. In regards to time limits, since the applicant is requesting a continuation, I'm assuming that's not going to be a concern, but the applicants and the appellants have the 30-minute time limits, and any other parties that are interested in testifying today has a 3-minute limit. In regards to the timeline, knowing that the continuation may be granted, the applicant has requested to extend the clock by 60 days as well. So that means the 150th day in which the final local land use decision must be issued is now on September 20th. So just a brief overview of the timeline. Today is the public hearing. It could potentially be continued on July 24th as requested by the applicant. If the open record period is requested, that would be between July 24th and August 14th. And as I mentioned, September 20th is that final day to issue the local land use decision.
Good. So, the hearing's open. So we typically just have the applicant, if they want to make the motion, come up at this point and make the motion. For anybody watching, and if you're here in the audience, we had prior notice on Monday that there would be a motion coming to basically continue this hearing on to a later date. And I guess maybe the applicant's going to discuss what the reasons for that. We've talked already about being in support of that. I think that counsel for the appellant is in support of that as well. So we're not expecting to have a lengthy hearing today, but if anybody's here wants to testify and can't come back to the future hearing, you can still testify about this application today. You need to fill out a blue form there and turn it into Sharon over here, but we'll go ahead and hear from the applicant now. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tommy Nimzo. Unfortunately, Michael wasn't able to make it today because he had a near fatal accident. So I was just going to request a continuation for the 24th of July.
Michael's your attorney, Michael Hughes, the attorney?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And is there a written application or a motion also, or does that happen?
Typically not
Just
required.
written
We
up.
haven't, no.
Okay.
As long as the applicant's here.
So would our process be, so you'd like to withhold or postpone your testimony and explanations and everything until then as well?
Yes.
Okay. So then would we just move on to anybody, would we take that up now, or would we take it up after anybody else that wants to testify testifies?
Take up,
The motion to continue.
I think I would address it now. I know the appellant's here and probably wants to be confident that the applicants are not going to be providing anything today and that it'll be on the July 24th.
Okay. So it's to a date certain, okay. So do we just need a motion then to do that, or do we just
By consensus, you could agree that you're going to continue the hearing till July 24th upon the request of the applicant. The appropriate time waivers is he's articulated, and the appellant is here. If they choose to speak, they can. If not, they can reserve until then as well. It sounds like that's what they're going to do. And any of the folks in the public that might want to testify today, so as to avoid coming back then or, whatnot, certainly have that opportunity.
Okay.
And they can come back again the second hearing. We don't want to say that they can't testify after they hear what the applicant has to say, but if they don't think they can make it, they might want to just say it today. And
So just acknowledging, we had been prior notified that this was coming. So July 24th was a date that looked like it's going to work on our schedule. So it was set by staff and the board's agreement that that would be the date that would work for us, and you're available for that.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah. I support the request. Yeah.
That's
Mr. Hare?
Yep.
Okay.
Fine.
So I think we have a consensus, we will continue the hearing. Don't need to say any more today, I guess, so I hope Mr. Hughes gets better, I guess. I don't know his status, but, okay.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
So the hearing's open, we're going to continue it. We've decided we will continue it. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to testify today? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Liz Dixon with the law firm of Dixon Hatfield here in Bend. I'm here representing the appellants in this matter, and they are agreeable to making their presentation to you on July 24th.
Good, Thank you. One thing I noticed is it's on the agenda at, I think, at 12, and it's only 11:45. So do we have any obligation to wait till 12 in case someone shows up, or?
You do, you could certainly begin the process now if there's anyone here that wants to speak. If there isn't, I would just suggest recessing until noon and then reconvening quickly, just in case anyone has shown up at that point.
Okay, and I think we have one more matter we're going to take up anyway, so. Is there anyone in the audience today that does want to testify about this matter? So, seeing none, then we would move to, I guess we would then close the hearing.
You
now.
just continue the hearing till
Continue
July
hearing.
24th, and, yeah, I would suggest that at noon, we'll see if anyone's arrived that's here for it and give them the same opportunity, and if not, then you're covered.
Okay. So, this point, we'll continue the hearing until July 24th, and plan to be available at 12 if anyone shows up to open it for any testimony today. But thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we have one more matter that's not on the agenda that Adam had wanting to discuss the continuation of the another case. Yeah. Jacob.
Commissioners, we were.
Excuse me a second. Thank you for coming today. If you came for this, we'd given a notice earlier that we were going to do this, and I think you weren't in the room then, so sorry about that, if that's what you came for. So hope to see you in the future. Thank you.
Commissioners, we were going to raise this issue at the end of your agenda under other business, but we're happy to raise that issue.
Oh.
Either way is fine.
Yeah, let's just do it now. And then it's kind of an action item, then we'll do other.
Yeah, this is in regards to the.
Or maybe, excuse me, just 1 second. So I think we can just say we're moving on to other items. We finished our action agenda, so this will be another item that's for today. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Wonderful, yeah. This is regarding the Wise Height application for marijuana production and processing. File number 247-19-000178-A. If the board recalls, there was a request previously to reopen the record for this matter so that parties could submit more information into the record for the board's consideration. We're actually in the middle of that open record period now. It's the rebuttal phase of that open record. And we just recently received a request from the applicant to provide another reopening of the record in approximately 3 months, a little less than 3 months from now. And they wanted to submit some information that they thought would be available for this round that turns out won't be available until later.
This is the Walker Road
This is on Walker
decision.
Road.
This is the one we were waiting somewhat for the district attorney's office report or something like, and maybe something else from the appellant as well. Okay.
Exactly.
Is that, okay. Recall that.
So we received this request. We previously were under the understanding that the applicant and appellant were supportive of this request. We recently learned that the appellant wanted to voice their opposition to the request and would like to continue matters as they are on the time schedule that we have set already.
And I will note that is, I briefed Commissioner Henderson on this matter this morning as the chair and making sure it was okay if we brought this up under other items. And that was different from what I told you this morning, yeah. Commissioner Henderson. The appellant's position on the matter has changed, and they, of course, this is late breaking, and everybody's working through this issue quite quickly because we're in the middle of the open record, or excuse me, the rebuttal period, as Jacob noted.
So that's the second period of the, so we have the open period, which is when anybody can submit anything. We're in the rebuttal period where if anything was submitted, you can comment on it. And then you have the third period, which is the applicant's final argument.
And to clarify, the rebuttal period is you can rebut. My understanding is you could rebut evidence that's been placed in the record to date. And so, yeah, but that's just a.
So it isn't just anything new. It could be the whole record. You could, in the rebuttal period.
That's my understanding. Perhaps I'm misunderstanding that.
That's how we've always interpreted it, and I think there's some LUBA case law to support that. And I think it's practical because now you're cutting babies in half and splitting hairs if you're trying to decide whether it had come in prior to that one little window.
So when's the end of the rebuttal period?
Friday at 5 o'clock, this Friday.
So in 2 days from, does the appellant, is Ms. Dixon, the attorney for the appellant, does she ever want to be heard or have a right to be heard, or what?
You want to,
Do you have any comments? I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
believe
represented
that
what
has
you opposed it.
We do is.
I think originally we had agreement by both parties to extend the time, so.
Commissioner Henry, we have the written communication from the applicant requesting this extension. I would recommend that we at least provide that written documentation to you along with the draft order that staff has prepared, so you
Okay.
at least see their justification and their reasons for the request to make sure everything is
Can we, so
equal
that,
between the parties.
would this be entered into the record, then let's see, where's the request?
It's the attachment to that order, so it's the second page,
Oh, okay.
or maybe third.
Can we just take a minute, let's look at their request and then. Okay. Right. All right, Ms. Dixon, do you want to share your opposition?
Yes, my name is Liz Dixon. I am an attorney with the law firm of Dixon Hatfield. I represent the appellant in the Wise Height application that's before you. The appellant's name is Rowan Hollitz. The appellant opposes the second continuance for a couple of reasons. First of all, the process has already gone out quite some time, and that delay is an expense to the appellant. It increases the amount of money they have to spend to fight this. But the second issue is that the underlying issue that is in play here is the issue of credibility of the applicant. The first time they asked for an extension, it was to clarify the legal status of Sam Onat. He is an affiliated party with the business. There was an arrest in Lapine some months ago, February, I believe, and the applicant asked for an extension to clarify Sam Onat's status so that his credibility could be cleared in this process. Since that time, Jacob Onat has also been arrested. He identified himself in presentation before this board as an expert in this matter and the primary consultant that the applicant was using and a member of the applicant team. He has been arrested now, and there are, I believe, 6 or 8 charges pending against him. The reason that the applicant's asking for this second extension is to try to get his situation clarified. And there's no mention now of the first reason for the extension, which was to clarify Sam Onat's credibility. So it is the appellant's position that the issue of credibility can properly be judged based upon the information that you have before you, and there's no need for further continuance and delay and expense and difficulties for the neighborhood. The whole neighborhood is up in arms about this, and they would like to have it resolved. If the applicant wishes to reapply at a later date, we encourage them to do so.
Can we ask some questions about what we've just learned?
Sure.
Do we need to reopen the?
Well, we're tiptoeing on some record issues. I mean, I think the issue before you is pretty straightforward, either maintain the current timeline or extend it as requested.
And I would.
I guess what was just stated is different than what was stated in the request about who the
Right, I think the
rest and
request
why
might be
they're
silent on
requesting it,
that.
so I don't know what to say.
I would note that the appellant certainly can provide further information and details in the written records that are due by Friday if the board maintains the current schedule.
And
Respectfully, that's not the case. The open record period has closed. The information I just provided to you was already provided to you in writing as of last Friday. I have violated no record information. So everything that I have just told
We
you.
just haven't seen it, but you turned that.
I guess you haven't. Yeah, I've submitted it to Jacob.
yeah, it's been submitted. I have it. It's part of the record.
So I've added nothing new.
Hasn't been presented to the board yet because we usually do that all at once when
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have
we don't
deliberations.
get them as they come in unless.
Right.
it's-
So the
In
reason,
that case, the applicant can respond by Friday as well, so.
In rebuttal.
They can rebut any of that, so. So would one option be, since the request has been made, do we necessarily have to rule on that today, or, I mean, the idea was to rule on it because it's
Yeah, you don't have to
May.
rule on it at all. If you take no action, then the current timeline will continue to play out.
which is, we did contemplate that. We actually talked about that when we extended it.
We did.
So now, we said, what if things aren't resolved at these offices, how are we gonna go forward? And we didn't really agree to anything, we highlighted that could be an issue.
Could be an issue.
So, okay, so one question is, does anybody want, I mean, we would have to have a motion to do the continuation, then we would need at least 2 votes in favor of that motion. Does anybody, what's your feelings, everyone? Mr. Dare, what's your inclination?
I think we, at the time, thought that the DAs, that could be a problem, but we did give the courtesy to extend it initially, so I don't see why we would want to do that again. We could be extending this for a long time.
So if something's come into the record and we read it and then there's rebuttal this week or in the closing and all that ends, if one or 2 of us were convinced we should reopen it, for some reason, we could still reopen it after that period if we felt that or something.
You could take that up at a subsequent point in time. I think we were trying to do it today as a courtesy to the appellant to not have to commit a bunch of time and
Yeah,
resources
right.
to the rebuttal period.
I'm not motivated to reopen or extend the record anymore.
So I'm not either, given the circumstances. So if there'd been agreement, I would have been willing to do that. But it was, it has gone on a long time, I think, and it's a burden on people to pay the costs of all this as well. So
yeah, I don't
sounds
see
like we don't have a
support for the
motion to
order.
reopen, so we've.
That's all we need, thank
That's all you need? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
11:59 and 22 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, don't look at that clock.
I know,
That one's
one's crooked.
further. So, Tom, do you want to testify at 12 o'clock? Popped in right at 12.
Perfect timing.
So, any other items before we do where's my little agenda again? Any other items on the other items part for now?
We do have, if the board wants to review the state of the county draft presentation, and that's why Laura is here.
Yeah, I didn't bring my copy down here. Did you guys, you brought yours, copies? You want to go ahead and do that now? Do we also have an executive session
Yes,
today?
Commissioners, we have
do that.
one, possibly 2 executive sessions, continuations from things that we talked about on Monday. One is has to do with a labor contract. The other has to do with related to marijuana. Then we have several other fairly brief other items, including the review of the state of the county. So at your pleasure, you could recess for lunch, and then we could take those up upstairs following your break.
So, I need to take a quick break. I may need to do something at 1 or before 1 for my son. So, I was going to propose maybe doing the executive session not right at 1. But let me check.
1:30 is
So,
fine, or-
well, that could work. 1:30 could work. But
So you're saying you're not sure what?
yeah, can I take a quick break and
Sure.
make a phone call?
No problem.
So,
Recess.
But I think the record could reflect, the minutes could reflect it's noon, and there's nobody additionally here for the noticed public hearing.
So, in terms of the hearing, we could recess for a minute, or, does she need to keep the cameras rolling, or?
No, if you wanted to, you could recess the meeting now, just to be reconvened upstairs at.
Oh, well, I was just going to go make a quick phone
Oh,
call.
yeah.
To find out something about the
Good
1 o'clock,
recess.
because we could go on for a little bit too. Let me just check.
So we're in recess.
We'll reconvene for right now. We're going to recess again until 1:30 and reconvene then upstairs in the Allen room. So, thank you.
Okay, so Nick, what were you?
Now we're done.